You are smart, you're intelligent, you're trustworthy, you're a connector, and most importantly, you're a nice person. So I wanted to find out, did you write the book, Nice Guy Can Get the Corner Office, because you had some difficulties with being nice?
Well, yes. First off, thank you very much for the compliments. I do appreciate that, and the feeling is very much mutual. And as for the book, the origin of the book came as a result of some self-reflection, which was not so much that I was nice, but at times I was too nice. And that ultimately is what led to the book and the preceding article in HBR. And since then, it's been quite an exciting ride in terms of seeing how it's been exposed to people and how they've appreciated it. So yeah, neat stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit more about your book.
The premise of the book is all about how to help nice guys overcome their issues in terms of being actually too nice. So nice is good, being too nice is actually bad. And actually, the book consists of three main themes. It's actually all about the nice guy syndrome. Then it's all about, the second part would be all about how people need to overcome their nice guy syndrome tendencies. And then it's also from a corporate perspective, how is it that you actually help the people that are in your business that are too nice? Mm-hmm. Alrighty, and each one of those chapters speaks to what we refer to as our Bill of Rights. So things such as, you have the right to speak up, you have the right to confront issues, the right to define boundaries, the right to win. Because oftentimes the nice guy feels suppressed in terms of being able to actually benefit on their own because they're always so concerned about helping everyone else out to their detriment. Mm-hmm. So that was basically the premise behind the book. And when people ask me about it, the general sense is that oftentimes people in business struggle to achieve the success they have the potential to because they're simply just too nice. Mm-hmm. And nice is good, too nice is bad, just like being a jerk is bad. Mm-hmm. So that's what actually drove the book and its success.
Now, who is the target audience for this book? Are you writing this book for CEOs and decision makers, or is this something could be applied by anybody within the organization?
Well, because there's two flavors to the book, there's two themes. One of which is how do I personally grow as a nice guy, as well as also there's the other piece too in terms of what happens when I have nice people that work for me, or overly nice people. So, I want to make sure I'm using the correct language in terms of that. Nice is good, overly nice or too nice, bad. Alrighty, so oftentimes you might have an employee who just does not deal with the situation appropriately. They bend over backwards to the point where they don't get their own work done, or it might be something along the lines of where they're running into the situation for themselves. So one of the interesting stats we actually had from our surveys was that 50% of the people we surveyed, which there were close to about 400 people, 50% of the people came back and said they thought their bosses were too nice. Mm-hmm. So think about that. Their bosses were simply just too nice. And as a result, their bosses were not actually sticking up for the right issues.
But one thing I see about speaking up, practicing candor, making people accountable, if you go too far, then you can also become a jerk.
Yes, yes.
So,
and there's a whole premise that we actually introduced in the book, which you're probably familiar with, called nice guy whiplash. Mm-hmm. So when all of a sudden one pushes the nice guy envelope and they're nice, and all of a sudden they might snap, and then all of a sudden what happens is they go the other way and they actually become inappropriately confrontational. They basically take the other extreme and become the opposite of what too nice is, which is the jerk. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what we've seen out there.
And in your book, you have interviewed great group of successful CEOs, decision makers, thought leaders from the industry. Interviewed Herb Keller from Southwest Airlines. You interviewed John Pepper, the ex-CEO of Procter & Gamble. By talking to all these different CEOs, tell me a little bit, who was the most interesting person you met and why?
Yeah, I get asked that one a lot. So I'll give you two, because I think that they had different impact on me. Actually, all of them were great. It was really a fantastic experience. That was probably, for me, that was probably the highlight of writing the book, is to actually meet face-to-face with these folks and get their perspective. It was an executive MBA on steroids. In terms of the two, I would probably pick Herb Kelleher. There's a spirit and determination that Herb has that is untouched by some of the others that I'd met with. And it was just incredible. And an example of part of the story was, we were only scheduled to meet for 1 hour. And I flew down. He was so consumed by the discussion, as was I, that rather than just saying goodbye at his office, which by the way is in the center of the building, he is actually not in the corner. All the executives sit in the center, which is interesting. He actually walked me outside to my car, which is really fascinating. And when he walked out into the lobby, everyone stopped. And everyone just looked. And it was almost as if there was a silent applause for what he had done in that business.
Now, Russ, I know that a lot of times people write books and they already have a framework set up,
Yes.
and they go and interview people and trying to get the information in order to justify their framework. Now, did you begin with that 8 steps framework, or is that something you have developed after finishing all the interviews?
Yeah, the actual framework came before the actual interviews, and then it was validated and refined as we went through. And in fact, the steps actually, or the rights, were actually much longer in terms of number. And then what happened was, as we went through, we realized that it was too much, and we brought it down. So when I say we, what happened was I was the guy who came up with the original idea around this concept. When the HB article came out, I actually had brought on a co-writer on, Tim Hildebittel, and a longtime friend and business colleague. And then what happened was we brought another gentleman on, Chuck Manns, as a third writer. So the three of us, the three amigos, actually wrote this book. And it was exciting, you know. And so collectively, when we took a look at this, we actually really refined those chapters to be reflective of what we felt were the key elements that someone needed to deal with in terms of nice guy syndrome.